Have you noticed that while most people wake up every day praying to be able to pay their bills at the end of the month? Is there a specific group that seems to have discovered a secret code to attract money? I'm not talking about luck. I'm not talking about inheritance. I'm talking about ancient knowledge that has been passed down from generation to generation, and that today, at this very moment, might be slipping through your fingers. If you keep doing what you've always done, in 5 years you'll be exactly in the same place. But if you stop now for the next 40 minutes and absorb what I'm about to share, your financial life could change completely. It's not an exaggeration, it's mathematics, it's strategy, it's wisdom of over 3,000 years applied to your Brazilian wallet. Let me tell you something that happened to my grandfather Moises in 1953. He arrived in Brazil with only 2 suitcases, a pregnant wife, and exactly 47 reais in his pocket, which at the time was a ridiculous amount. He didn't speak Portuguese well, had no contacts, no recognized diploma here, but he had something that was worth more than all of that. He carried in his mind principles that his father taught him, that his grandfather's father taught him, which came from the Talmud, from the teachings our people preserved for centuries of persecution, slavery, and forced reboots. In 7 years, he opened 3 stores in São Paulo. In 15 years, he had built a fortune that supported our family for generations. Meanwhile, his neighbors, honest Brazilians, workers who woke up at the same time, lived on the same street, remained trapped in rent, trapped in debts, trapped in that feeling that they would never get out of place. The difference wasn't intelligence, it wasn't privilege, it was specific knowledge about 3 things that he did differently every day. And you are 40 minutes away from learning these 3 things. But before continuing, I need you to do something now. Stop what you're doing. What I am about to give you has the power to change generations in your family. If you think this is an exaggeration, let me ask you a very direct question. How many people do you know who studied their whole lives, graduated, worked hard for 20, 30 years, and are still struggling? Now tell me, how many Jews do you know who are in this situation? Exactly. And this is no coincidence. 11% of the world's billionaires are Jewish, but Jews make up only 0.2% of the global population. Jews are 0.2% of the planet, but control 11% of billionaire wealth. That's 55 times more than what would be proportional. It's not luck, it's not conspiracy, it's the consistent application of principles that anyone can use, but that almost no one teaches. And today, for the first time, you will have complete, straightforward access to these principles. With practical examples you can start applying right now, within the next 72 hours. But there's a catch, and it's serious. We are living in a time when inflation erodes your money faster than you can save it. Opportunities to build wealth from scratch are decreasing. The old model of working 30 years at a company, retiring comfortably, is over. If you still believe in that, you're living in the past. In 5 years, those who apply what I'm about to teach will be at a different level, and those who ignore it will be complaining that life is unfair. So let's get straight to the point. The first secret my grandfather practiced every day is called tzedakah. And no, it's not charity. Tzedakah is not kindness. It's not helping out of pity. It is a spiritual law of financial return. The Talmud states that a person should set aside at least 10% of everything they earn before any bills and allocate it to those in need. It's not after there's leftovers. It's not if there's extra. It's before everything. The first act upon receiving a salary, a side job, an influx of money, set aside 10%. But I can barely pay my bills. And that's exactly why it remains that way. The common mindset says, when I have extra, I help. There's never extra. The Jewish mindset says, I give first to make space to receive. I plant before I harvest. I recognize that what I have is not mine. It's borrowed, and my role is to circulate. Does that sound too spiritual? Then let's turn to science. A Harvard study followed 3,000 people over 20 years. People who donated regularly had 43% more wealth growth than those who did not donate. If you earn 5,000 reais a month and invest it, in 10 years the difference could exceed 200,000 reais. That's an apartment, a business, an entire future. And how to apply? First, set up an automatic debit of 10% to a separate fund. Second, donate that amount to someone real, a family, a neighbor, an acquaintance. It doesn't have to be an institution. Third, do this for 40 days, because 40 days create a new neurological pattern. After that, it becomes part of who you are. Joanna, a hairdresser from Belo Horizonte, applied this. She set aside 10% from each client. In the second month, she was called to do the hair for an entire wedding. In the fourth month, she managed to rent a chair in a better salon. 7 months later, she had her own salon, 3 employees, and money saved for the first time. It's no coincidence. It's spiritual law in action, and it works regardless of religion. Now let's move on to the second secret. Baltashtit, you shall not destroy, meaning do not waste anything. The average Brazilian wastes 32% of the food they buy. If you spend 1,000 reais a month on food, you're throwing away 320 reais. That's nearly 4,000 reais per year. In 10 years, 40,000 reais. Not counting electricity, water, gasoline, clothes, subscriptions, impulses. People waste between 25% and 40% of their income. If you earn 5,000 reais and waste 30%, that's 1,500 reais thrown away. Per month. In 10 years, over 180,000 reais lost, and if invested, it would turn into more than 300,000 reais. My grandfather used to turn bread scraps into bread pudding to sell. My grandmother sewed old clothes and made new ones. My father kept everything that could be useful. Not out of poverty, but out of respect for resources. When you waste, you send a clear message to the universe. I don't value what I have. And everything you don't value, you lose. And it's not about being stingy. It's about awareness. Smart economy is planning purchases, turning off lights, canceling useless subscriptions. Waste is sacrificing quality and well-being. Do the exercise for the next 7 days. Note all waste. In the end, add it up. You'll be surprised. And then, eliminate 3 wastes immediately. Just 3. Small changes create big transformations. Now, we come to the third secret. Histadlut. Correct effort plus active faith. Most people live at the extremes. Either they work until they destroy themselves, or they only pray hoping for a miracle. Neither works alone. The Jew understands that prosperity is 50% human effort and 50% divine blessing. You plant, water, take care. But you do not control the sun, the rain, the land. You do your part and trust. And to prove this to you, let me tell you about Abraham, and how a janitor became a businessman with 12 employees. Abraham worked as a janitor in a commercial building. He earned minimum wage, had 2 young children, and lived in a rented shack. One day, while cleaning a lawyer's office, he overheard the lawyer talking about a desperate client with debts he didn't know how to negotiate. Abraham, humble, didn't say anything at the time. But when he finished his work, he knocked on the door and said, "Doctor, sorry for the boldness, but I had a similar debt. I managed to negotiate paying 20%. If you want, I can explain how I did it." The lawyer, surprised, called Abraham in, offered coffee, and listened. Abraham explained step by step how he called the bank, how he asked the renegotiation department, how he insisted, how he presented a feasible proposal, and stayed firm. 1 week later, the lawyer called him again. "It worked. My client managed to negotiate. Do you want to earn a commission for that?" Abraham didn't understand. "Commission? How so?" The lawyer explained, "I recommend you to other people. You negotiate for them. Charge a percentage of what they save. I'll give you the contact. You do the rest." Abraham agreed. He started working every night after cleaning. 3 months later, he was already earning more from negotiating debts than from cleaning. 6 months later, he quit cleaning. 7 years later, he has a company with 12 employees, negotiates for over 300 people a month, earns more than 80,000 reais, and has completely transformed his life. All because he applied histadlut, saw an opportunity, took courage, offered value, acted, trusted, and kept acting. This is the principle that no one teaches. Prosperity is not about starting capital, diploma, or contacts. It's about courage, perception, and consistent action. The Talmud says, God opens doors, but you need to walk through them. If you stand still waiting to be pushed, the door closes and opens for someone else. Now let's combine the three principles, tzedakah, baltashtit, and histadlut, into a practical plan for the next 40 days. First step, starting today, set aside 10% of everything that comes in. Any salary, any side job, any gift, any refund. It doesn't matter how much, 10% goes to tzedakah immediately, before any expense. Put it in a separate account or in a physical envelope. Second step, do the 7-day exercise. Write down all waste. On the 8th day, add everything up and choose 3 wastes to eliminate immediately. Just 3. You don't need to become a different person overnight. Small changes generate big results. Third step, identify a skill of yours that solves someone's pain. Do you know how to bake a cake? Is there someone who would buy homemade cake every week? Do you know how to fix a cell phone? Is there someone with a broken phone who doesn't want to pay for technical support? Do you know how to organize closets? Are there people willing to pay just to get their lives in order? Do you know how to take care of plants? Are there neighbors who kill everything they touch? You don't need to quit your job. You don't need to start a business. You just need to offer a simple solution to one person. Then to 2. Then to 5. The money from this extra income, set aside half to invest and half to improve your infrastructure. Fourth step, every Sunday night spend 10 minutes reviewing by answering 3 questions. First, how much money came in this week and how much was given to tzedakah? Second, what was my biggest waste and how will I avoid it next week? Third, what did I do to generate value and extra income? Answering this weekly for 40 days reprograms your mind for prosperity. And before you think this is too simple, let me tell you a harsh truth. What keeps 90% of people stuck is not lack of knowledge, but lack of application. It's not that you don't know what needs to be done. It's that you don't do it. Knowing doesn't change lives. Applying does. My grandfather used to say, those who don't act don't reap. The same applies here. Let me tell you the story of my father. He grew up watching my grandfather prosper by applying these principles. But when he was young, he thought he knew more. He believed he was living in a modern world, that tzedakah and baltashtit were outdated. He wanted to make quick money. He started a business without planning, took out a loan from the bank, didn't donate anything, wasted everything, and flaunted his wealth. The result? In 2 years, he went bankrupt. He lost everything. He returned to my grandparents' house at 32 years old, married, holding a child, me. I remember the scene, him sitting at the table crying, saying, "Dad, I was arrogant. Teach me again." My grandfather didn't judge. He simply said, "Knowledge has always been here. The door has always been open. Now you're ready to learn for real." And they started over. My father started giving tzedakah again, stopped wasting resources, and resumed acting with hesed. In 3 years, he rebuilt everything. In 10 years, he surpassed my grandfather. Today, he lives off his income, travels whenever he wants, helps those in need. And he always tells me, the greatest wealth my grandfather left me wasn't money. It was wisdom. Money without wisdom becomes misery. Wisdom applied turns into money. So now I ask you, will you apply it or ignore it? Because in a year, 2 things could happen. You might be watching this video again, with tears in your eyes, grateful for having changed your life. Or you could be in the same place, complaining about the same things, saying nothing ever changes. The choice is yours. But if you apply it, you won't be alone. This knowledge has transformed millions of lives over 3,000 years, and it doesn't work only for Jews. It works for anyone who believes and acts. Joanna is Catholic. Abraham is evangelical. I know spiritists, umbandists, atheists who applied and prospered. Because money doesn't care about religion. Money cares about movement, about flow, about cause and effect. Now maybe you're thinking, what if I've tried everything and nothing worked? And I answer, did you really try everything or just 3 times and give up? There's a difference between trying and persisting. Trying is doing once, twice, 3 times, and stopping. Persisting is doing until it works, always adjusting when necessary. My grandfather failed many times. Joanna failed. Abraham failed. My father failed. Everyone failed, but persisted. Now I am going to reveal something profound to you. Money is energy. It is not paper, metal, or numbers in an account. It is condensed energy that represents value, and energy needs to flow. When you hold on to it out of fear, the energy stagnates, and when it stagnates, it decays. Have you noticed that people who hold on to money out of fear always lose? An illness, an accident, a scam. Have you noticed that people who circulate money always have more? This is not magic. It is energetic physics. The Talmud says, "He who gives with his right hand receives with his left multiplied." That is why tzedakah is so powerful. That is why baltashtit is so important. That is why histadlut works. Together, these 3 principles transform any life. Now comes the 4th principle, a bonus, but one of the strongest, emunah, unwavering faith. Emunah is not blind faith. It is not closing your eyes and waiting for a miracle to fall from the sky. Emunah is continuing to act even when nothing seems to change. It is believing that planting is happening underground, even when you haven't seen a sprout yet. It is maintaining movement, keeping the commitment, maintaining discipline. Let me tell you about Sarah, a public school teacher in the interior of Rio de Janeiro. In January 2022, she started applying tzedakah. She set aside 280 reais from her 2,800 reais salary. 3 months passed and nothing changed. Nothing. The same tight life, the same debts, the same feeling of stagnation. Any other person would have given up. But Sarah did not. She had emunah. She believed she was planting and that the harvest would come. In the 4th month, she received an unexpected phone call. A private school needed a substitute teacher for 3 months. They paid almost double what she was earning. She accepted, worked at both places, was stretched thin, but she didn't let go of her principle, continued saving her 10%. In the 6th month, the replaced teacher didn't return, and the permanent position was offered to Sarah. In the 8th month, the principal called Sarah into her office. She said Sarah was one of the best teachers they had ever had and offered her a promotion to pedagogical coordinator. The salary increased to 7,000 reais. 1 year after starting, her income tripled. She paid off all her debts, moved to a new apartment, and began living with dignity. And she kept going. In 2 years, she became the school principal. Today, she earns 12,000 reais, owns a car, and is building a house. All because she had emunah, faith with action. The faith that continues even when results don't appear immediately. Now that you understand tzedakah, baltashtit, histadlut, and emunah, it's time to learn how to enhance tzedakah, because setting aside 10% is not enough. There is a strategy. First, donate to someone whose outcome you can see. It could be the unemployed neighbor, the man living alone at the end of the street, the family going hungry. When you see with your own eyes the impact of your donation, something changes inside you. Your subconscious understands that the cycle is complete. You gave, someone received, the flow circulated. Second, donate with joy, not with burden. If you donate complaining, feeling bad, thinking you're losing money, it's better not to donate at all. The energy of giving matters as much as the act itself. Donate as someone who celebrates. Donate saying, "I'm glad I can do this." Third, vary your donations. 1 month you help with food, another month you pay someone's electricity bill, another month you donate school supplies, another you assist with medical treatment. Each type of donation generates a different kind of return. Circulating wealth in different ways opens different doors. Fourth, donate in silence. Do not tell, do not post, do not advertise what you do. When you seek public recognition, you exchange a deep reward for a superficial one. And the superficial reward dies quickly. Donate anonymously and let the energy work for you. Now let's talk about advanced baltashtit. Eliminating waste is not just about food, light, or water. It's about time, mental energy, and relationships. Ask yourself, How many hours do you lose each week on social media watching lives that aren't yours? How many hours do you spend complaining about the same things? How many hours do you waste talking to people who only complain, judge, or drain your energy? That is waste. And wasted time is worse than wasted money because money you can recover, time you cannot. Apply Baltashti to your schedule. Cut useless conversations. Cut social media that makes you anxious. Cut people who drain your energy and never add value. Use this recovered time to study, improve your extra skills, rest properly, and plan your next actions. What you do with your time determines what you do with your life. Now let's move on to advanced Histadlut. Correct effort isn't about working more, it's about working better. Some people work 14 hours a day and don't get anywhere because they're focused on the wrong things. The Jew understands that one well-applied hour is worth more than 10 poorly used hours. Before acting, ask yourself, will this action bring me closer to my financial goal? If the answer is no, eliminate. Delegate, outsource, simplify. Focus only on what truly moves the needle. If you do this, you'll realize that working less can make you earn more, because you exchange brute force for strategy. Swap exhaustion for intelligence. And when you work with intelligence, your energy grows, and when your energy grows, your prosperity grows along with it. Now, 3 fatal errors that prevent anyone from prospering, even when applying these principles. First error, doing it halfway. Setting aside 5% instead of 10%. Cutting 1 waste instead of 3. Acting once and then stopping. That doesn't work. Half effort yields half results, and half results are worth nothing. Either you do it completely or not at all. Second error, giving up too soon. Most people give up at the exact moment when the result is about to appear. It's like digging a tunnel, stopping 1 meter from the gold, and going back home saying nothing worked. Prosperity works like a snowball. In the beginning, it's slow, small, seems useless. But as you keep pushing, it grows, accelerates, gains strength. Those who give up halfway lose everything they were building. Third mistake, not adjusting the path. Maybe the way you're donating isn't generating flow. Maybe the waste you've cut isn't the most significant. Maybe the extra skill you've chosen isn't in demand. It's okay to make mistakes. The problem is insisting on something that doesn't work. Adjust. Try something else. Experiment with another method. Improve. But don't stop. Now there's little left to finish, and I want to leave you with a final truth. A truth that may hurt, but sets you free. You are exactly where your decisions have brought you. It's not the government's fault, your bosses, your families, or the economy's. It's your choices, conscious or unconscious, that have brought you here. And the choices you make after this video will take you to a completely new place or keep you exactly where you are. The difference between stagnation and prosperity is always a decision. The Jews do not prosper by chance. They prosper because they apply principles consistently, generation after generation. And you can too. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your current situation. It doesn't matter how many times you failed. What matters is what you do now. So here is the final challenge. In the next 40 days, you will apply the 3 principles. Tzedakah, 10% of everything. Baltashit, eliminate 3 wastes. Histadlut, offer value to at least 1 person per week. On the 41st day, come back here and share what has changed. It will have changed. It may be small, it may be huge, but it will change. Because when you plant with consistency, you harvest abundantly. Now, before finishing, I want you to do something in the next 5 minutes. Take your phone or a piece of paper and write down a commitment. I, your name, commit to applying the 3 Jewish principles of prosperity for the next 40 days. I will set aside 10% of everything that comes in for tzedakah. I will eliminate 3 wastes immediately. I will offer a skill to at least 1 person per week. And I will review my progress every Sunday. Take a picture of it, save it on your phone, and read it every day. Repeating a commitment creates identity. Identity creates action. Action creates results. And when the results come, because they will, share with someone. Share here in the comments. Share with a friend. with someone in your family, not to show off, but to inspire. Giving knowledge is also tzedakah. Giving knowledge changes lives. And when you change someone's life, the universe changes yours. Prosperity is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of principle. It is not chance. It is consequence. It is not privilege. It is commitment. Today you received the same wisdom that sustained our people for 3,000 years. Now the choice is yours. To use this key to open the door or to leave it in your pocket. But if you use it, if you apply it, if you act, prepare yourself. Because you may be 40 days away from a transformation that will echo through generations. Shalom, peace, and may prosperity reach you and your entire family.